Ladies and gentlemen, get those dollars ready. Coming up next to the stage on the OtherGround podcast, it's your host, Passive J and Ryan.
That is right. It is yet another exciting edition of the OtherGround Live. I'm Passive J. That's Big Dalton Ryan over there. Say hello, Ryan.
Yeah, about that.
What? About? We all know what that sound is. It's claw time, which means it must be the beginning of another episode of OtherGround Live. As mentioned, I am Passive J. That's Ryan over there. We're going to have a great show tonight. I have high hopes for it. I can see the OG army accumulating in the chat box, so I'm glad to see you guys. Welcome. Apparently, we might have a really special guest. He's supposed to be trying to check in. Ghost of KBR, who's going to be telling us everything we want to know about homesteading and prepping and all those kinds of things, which is really relevant in the current times. And I'm really excited to have him on. Assuming he shows up. No, I seriously am.
No, same here. No, that should be a good conversation if he figures out the app. If he can figure out how to do homesteading and all that shit, he better be able to figure out an app on a phone.
You would assume so, but it is a completely different skill set because I'm really good at figuring out apps on the phone, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be shitty at this homesteading stuff. But I want to learn.
Well, considering you feel that you almost need help to, inflate a hot tub.
I got it. I did it on my own. Oh, speaking of hot tub watch 2020, we're currently sitting at 88 degrees. I think I'm probably going to have to wait till tomorrow morning to try out the hot tub. It maxes out at 104, so it's not quite there yet, and probably won't be ready by the time I go to bed. So I'll have a nice, awesome hot tub for probably after my workout tomorrow morning.
Oh, snap.
That'll be nice. Yeah. Do some lifting weights and get in a hot tub and go, oh, yeah, it feels good.
I don't know why, but like that picture in the garage, obviously the fact that you had rented out your garage in the past for killing.
Yeah.
But it still seems really small. I don't know, like maybe it's just the angle or what have you, but it looks like a hot tub for children.
Well, it is, for one thing, it doesn't look as high as some hot tubs because you sit on the floor. You're not sitting on a seat in there. It's the floor is inflatable and all that good stuff, so you don't really need a seat. It's comfortable anyways. But I want to say it's like 28 inches tall, so just under 3 feet, 2.5, something like that, and 77 inches across. I mean, like I can sit down in it, extend my legs all the way across it, and and not touch the other side. So it's sufficiently big. I'd call it a 4-person hot tub comfortably. 6 if you're friendly to people.
Yeah, I'm just going to call it a midget hot tub because I mean, less than 3 feet in height, like.
No,
really
I might
find a way to like elevate the thing so it doesn't look so toy-like.
I might have the height wrong on it because I want to say because I basically I can sit on the edge of it without squatting too much. So I might have the height wrong on it. It's nice. Like I said, it's perfectly big enough for what we're using it for.
Yeah, but it looks like shit. Have you ever thought about like maybe like stacking a couple pallets, like 3 pallets or so, draping something over the pallet and then putting that on top?
Possibly just to make it easier, just to make it look a little bit nicer. But you got to remember it is pretty heavy, so you got to be thoughtful about what you're putting underneath it. Because water is heavy, as it turns out.
Well, you put it on the pallets before you fill the thing.
Well, yeah, I know that part, dude. I just mean it might actually
can't be
crush
that heavy. It's an inflatable hot tub.
I meant the water in it. Okay, you know what? This conversation's going nowhere. How about our special guest save us from this inane conversation? How you doing, KBR?
Good. Who the fuck is posting that shit on there?
Which shit is that?
I'm looking at the app right now. It says you faggots can piss off, not worry my vast knowledge.
Oh, don't worry about that, dude. They're just fucking around. That's the OG army in the chat box is always trying to fuck with people as much as they can. It's all good natured though. How should I address you? Actually, Ghost to KBR, Steve. I don't know your name.
Kyle's good.
Kyle, all right. Hey, thanks for coming on the show, Kyle. I've got all kinds of questions. Do you have anything you want to talk about specifically, or anything like that, or how do you want this to go, sir? It's your show. You have the floor.
Don't call me sir. I appreciate that though. No, I just I saw the original thread that came up on it, and seeing everything that's been going on with it, and I know that a couple people have commented as far as getting on there and doing different types of topics, stuff like that. So I figured, hey, Easter night, why not get on? So I mean, literally, whatever you guys want to talk about.
Excellent. Well,
I mean, obviously, right now, obviously, the big elephant in the room right now is the whole COVID-19 and what's going on, and we've been dealing with food shortages and a bunch of other things, and then you got the whole law enforcement thing, and so I mean, it's a little bit of a shit show right now out there.
Okay, I can imagine. Well, let's start off by doing a little bit of background. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your experience in homesteading and prepping and things like that?
Yeah. So, I mean, how far do you want to go back? I started out as a Boy Scout when I was 3 years of age, and no, I'm just kidding. No, I just always something I've been interested in as far as growing up. My favorite book as a child was My Side of the Mountain.
Oh shit!
Where the Red Fern Grows. Cried many tears in second grade reading The Red Fern Grows. It's just something I've always been involved with, and grandfather always took me camping growing up and stuff like that. And then actually, my grandfather was probably one of the biggest idols growing up. He raised 10 kids in a house they built himself from reading a book. And that will always really, impress me as a child growing up, was that my grandfather literally built his own house with his two hands from reading a book. And I thought that was very manly of him. And my wife had surgery back in like 94, 95. And I went down and got a book on building log houses, and was reading that while she was in surgery. And at the end, there was a little thing on cordwood building, which I thought was really interesting. And it was literally only like a couple paragraphs, but they had a guy by the name of Rob Roy in Eastern New York that was a big proponent of it. And so I called him up. I was like, hey, you got any more information on this? And he's like, yeah, I do. I got a book on it. I was like, really? He's like, yeah. You guys also have a book on underground houses. If you'd be interested in that, I was like, yeah, I would. So, back then, early 90s, you called information. Actually, there was no Google, YouTube, or anything like this bullshit.
Right. Yeah.
So a couple weeks later, I got these two books in the mail and read them from cover to cover. I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do. So that was always the big goal. Then we moved to Maine, and I built that house that I wanted to build. And so it was always developing talents and skill sets each year to get where we wanted to be, and that's the biggest thing that, I get from all people is, where do you start? And it's like, you start with baby steps. So it's something we've been working on for, we built the house 2009. So that was 11 years ago, which I fully document on the OG. We're building a cabin right now, and it's just, yeah. So,
all right. Well, I'll tell you what.
Process, really.
Well, let's do it this way to have a topic going. The COVID stuff aside, if I wanted to just move the fuck away from everybody, let's say I got a moderate sum of money, call it like $1 million or $2 or $3 million, enough that you can do, not exorbitant money, but enough that you can probably pull off whatever plan that you wanted. How would I go about just getting the fuck from everybody away from everybody else? I mean, what would be your plan for me?
Well, is this Jay?
Yes, sir. Sorry, sir. Sir, thing's a habit.
Yeah, stop. Yeah, same thing. So you started with how much?
I don't know. Call it like a couple $1 million. Okay. Since we're in fantasy land, anyways, you might as well make it a good fantasy, right?
Well, we're talking about Jay, so let's actually say it's about 20 grand, and he cannot do manual labor.
Well, after he blinged out the tricycles for $1.2 million, he's in $200,000 in the hole.
Or we could do it another way, as opposed to doing it that way. You could give us a situation where we could do two situations: a realistic, like where I don't have a ton of money, and a unrealistic one where I do have a ton of money. Because it's there's both types of people in the world, so that they both need advice, right?
Yeah. And again, I'm just busting balls, Jay. And but I mean, I have said I'm a firm believer that, and this sounds really weird to say, but it takes a lot of money to be poor in today's world. And when I say that, it's not, if you go back, to my grandparents, your grandparents, I mean, they were multi-generational families. You grew up and you raised your kids, you got married in the pretty much the same 10-mile radius of where you were born. So when you got that house that was next to your parents or just down the road, you had family that gave you stuff. You were learning skill sets. And then when we got into modern times, I'm a firm believer that, bird's eye is a big downgrade in American society, is the fact that, we used to grow gardens. And then when bird's eye started pushing frozen vegetables in the 40s and 50s, a lot of housewives, and this is not being sexist, this is just my opinion, they're like, well, geez, we don't need a garden. I don't need a can. I just go to the grocery store and buy frozen vegetables and we can get through the winter. So we got away from a lot of those skill sets that we have had for thousands of years. And so now we're 2 or 3 generations past that. Now for someone that literally, modern man, that grew up in our education system, where I don't think they even teach home ec anymore, for you to sit there and be like, yep, I got this X amount of money. I want to go live in the woods. I want to go do this. I want a homestead. I want to do this. Well, you better have a shit ton of money, because you have a lot of skills that you need to replace and you need to learn that you normally would have had, but we no longer teach. So something as simple as a decent axe. Yeah, you can go to Harbor Freight. You can buy an axe for $10, $15, which is going to break on you within a month. Or to literally buy a good quality axe, you're going to spend a couple $100 for it. Or
Really?
you take someone like Alto that, can make, so now we're getting back into the skill set. So, it used to be, people are like, oh, so much. And I know very little about a lot of broad subjects, but a few generations ago, that was good, because, if I knew how to do really good at making, let's say, whiskey, the still, yeah, I'm good at that. I know how to grow a little corn. I know how to do this. I know how to, if I want to make a fire from scratch with flint and steel, I can do that. But my neighbor over here, I'm good at making whiskey. He's really good at making corn. There was a community around that built that.
Right.
But that community is totally gone. That community is totally gone, unless you're in a very rural area.
Right. No, that makes complete sense, because like today's modern skill sets you can't do that. Like, I don't have a skill that I can trade for something else in a realistic sense. Like, I can't make anything or grow anything. So even though, like you're speaking of, even though you might not know how to do everything, you have skill sets that are tradable. So like you can make whiskey and trade it to have this done or that done. Me being a modern day person and, a piece of shit, apparently, I don't have any real actual skills that I could trade. No one, once the apocalypse comes, no one's going to trade me to say words for him. So, so you make an interesting point about how we've moved away from that kind of society.
Okay. Well, first of all, Jay, you're not a piece of shit. Again, I was saying, OG, I'm joking around. But, I wish there was a thread, like probably about a decade ago or greater, on the OG about, the apocalypse coming, and what your skills can you provide. And back then, totally different group of people. Actually, they're probably still just under different names, but you had what is MMA, you had Watt, you had Bob Zapp, which I think all three of those were the exact same guys. But you had Joe Mafia that used to post all the time. And so, people are like, what they could bring to this community, the OG to build together. And I forget who it was, but it was so funny as hell. He's like, I'm really good at Excel. I can do spreadsheets. Please save me. And I just busted out laughing. And that's the thing, though. If you have a community, if you have people that you can bring together, everyone can contribute and bring to it. But to do it by yourself is very, very difficult. There are some that can. Even look at Survivor Man. He's he's an awesome dude. I mean, the shows he puts on, but I mean, it gets to the point where, he's tapping out. He's like, yeah, I'm gone. It's very difficult to do.
What do you think
yes,
about?
I mean,
Go ahead, sir.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask you, what do you think about people that kind of do the halfway thing? They still want like electricity and some modern comforts, but they also want to get as far away from people as possible. Like they still want Amazon to be able to deliver, and they still want internet connections, but they want to be as far away as they can possibly do while still having that.
I think that's great. I think it's awesome.
Do you think that's like a halfway measure? Do you think it's like, realistically speaking, that's not going to cut it, or in a real emergency, so to speak?
No. I think someone had posted. Again, I'm referring back to LG because this is the OtherGround podcast, but someone had posted again over 10 years ago. What about how do you get off the grid? And and I actually commented on that thread, and actually I think the People's Need might have started that thread. Rest in soul, thank you. But being off grid it's more of a state of mind than actual physical being. I mean, there's a lot of things about being off grid. I mean, off grid to some people is being a grid tied solar system where you're still grid tied, but you're producing energy that you're giving back to the grid. Some people are being off the grid is totally battery system, solar panels. I'm off the grid. Some people it's I have a 100-watt wind generator in my backyard, and it runs my 2 milliamp iPhone, and I'm off grid. It all depends as far as what your conception as far as what off grid is.
Right.
But anything that you can do to impact your personal lifestyle, like I'll be honest with you, I mean, our house, we are very low energy usage. We are grid tied. I order shit off of Amazon every single day. I have a Chase card that I get 5% back on it, and I get better deals on Amazon than I can find at Walmart or stuff locally. It works out for us. I mean, but I raise my animals. I have my own garden, so, I mean, this is my conception as far as what being off the grid for me is. It all depends as far as what your goals are and what you want to do.
As far you mentioned solar power, how far advanced is that? Is it? I haven't done any reading recently. Has it reached a point where it's reliable that you can really be off the grid as far as that goes if you spend enough money and get enough solar panels?
Oh God, yes. Yeah. I mean, it's been that way for the past 20, 30 years. But the fact is that as far as the cost that, I mean, panels have come down significantly. I mean, you used to be looking at, $10, $20 a watt, where now we're down, and it's been a couple of years since I've looked at it, but I mean, last time I looked at it, you're like $1.10 a watt. So like we priced out as far as like for our house, we'd probably need like a 4.85 kilowatt system. So it probably would have been if we bought an off the rack site on the internet. Mm-hmm. I think we're looking at like around $23,000, and then you get your federal credits and everything like that. But at this point in time, I mean, there's definitely going to be a long-term payback on that. It depends as far as where you're at in your life. Like right now, I'm turning 50 this year. I would hope that I would see to be 75, but I'm not going to invest something into that. I'm looking for a 25-year payback at this point.
Right, that does make sense. Yeah.
With our new place, with our cabin that we're building. We're probably going to go solar with that, but at our current location, just because, I have my workshop, I have a bunch of other stuff going on with it. We probably won't go solar with that, but with the new place, how compact it is and everything that we got going out there, we'll probably end up going solar or some type of hybrid generator, battery, solar, wind. We have a small stream we might try and do some hydro with, but just something we're going to play with.
And it's reached the technology.
Matt, what's that?
I said, and it's reached the technology's reached a point where even in like northern climates where you don't get a ton of sun, it's still effective now.
Oh God, yeah, oh yeah. It's been that way for a long time.
Because that was always the thing before that it wasn't
and,
considered very effective for people that didn't get a lot of sun. So that's interesting to hear.
well, that's the thing. I mean, it's not, it was effective. It wasn't cost effective. You know, for I think where we are, I think we have average of 4.6 hours of daylight. So basically what you do is you take your power bill. You figure out how many kilowatts you use, divide it by 30. And again, it's been a couple of years since I've done this calculation, but if someone wants to correct me, feel free to. So you take your monthly usage kilowatt, divide it by 30, you get your day per usage. Then you divide it out by how many hours you have of active of sun. And then you figure out, so let's just say 30,000. So 30,000 by 30, it's 1,000 a day. Divide by 4.2 hours, let's say it's 250. So you need 250 watts of solar power to generate that 4.2 per day to equal your 30. So I mean, that was always the biggest tie up, is your price per wattage was so high that up here in the northern climates, you needed a very, very large array versus down in the southern where you're more near the equator. You know, you have more hours of daylight. You don't have as much, cloud cover, different scenarios that impact that, where you get away with a much smaller array. And then you start getting into different things as far as solar orientation, as far as for your glass in your house to help with your heating bill, and then as far as what you have for utilities as far as in the house, do you have a wood stove instead of a furnace? Do you have you have and that's one of the things a lot of people do too, as far as to minimize that, is you trade basically one grid to go to another. So like in our scenario, like we did, so we need a very small, for the most part, solar array for our house. Is we went to a propane grid. So our clothes dryer, our hot water heater, we have a propane on-demand hot water heater. We have a propane oven, stove, so those are your big draw powers as far as for your solar array. So basically we are now on the propane grid for those, which will minimize our solar grid, but we're still tied to that propane grid unless we went to a full old style wood cook stove and, with a water jacket around it, which is totally doable. Again, it's as far as what you're comfortable in, as far as what you want to do.
Actually, growing up, believe it or not, we had I just lived in the suburbs of Detroit, but we had a wood burning furnace to heat our house. So, like in the middle of the winter, my dad would have to get up at least once during the night, normally at least twice, to go downstairs into the basement, throw a couple logs in there. And, he spent a lot of time cutting wood and stacking it, and the kids helped him with that. And for years and years and years, that was our furnace. I never knew anybody else around me that had one, because I guess it's kind of unusual for like a suburban house. But that's the way he went for it.
Yeah, up here in New England, they're pretty common. I mean, we have a lot of people. Obviously, a lot of people went to the whole exterior wood furnaces, wood boilers, or whatever you want to call them. I'm not a big fan of those because they seem to they use a lot more. But people that have them, I know one guy, but I mean, he has a large property. He heats his barn and stuff like that, but he's literally going through like 40 cord of wood a year.
Oh,
throwing into that outdoor boiler. But like my grandmother had the same way. I mean, she had a wood furnace down her basement, and you
never know. I mean, it has all the blowers and uses all the ducting just like a regular modern one has. It just uses wood instead of gas for heat.
Yep.
Neat stuff.
Wood for the most part, wood is pretty consistent as far as price.
Yeah, he never. I don't think he ever bought it. He always, scrounged it from place to place. He worked construction, putting in new sewer pipes. So quite often they were, cutting down trees and doing stuff because they were putting in new neighborhoods. So he basically had an endless source of wood whenever he wanted it, which was convenient for him, obviously. So I do have a question for you. If we haven't lost you, you were speaking about the COVID stuff. Have you made any special preparations? Have you changed anything in your life because of all this stuff going on? Uh-oh, we might have lost him.
I'm sorry. What was it? No, I'm
Oh,
listening.
no.
What was
Okay.
that?
Since we have a break here, I figured I'd move the subject a little bit because of all the stuff going on with the quarantines and the virus and things like that. Are you doing anything in your life differently on in this kind of aspect, or is it just business as normal?
Well, so no. Sorry, I was just reading something real quick.
That's fine.
I'll be honest with you. This whole COVID thing, I got caught my pants down a little bit, and actually, a lot of my friends have as well. I had my website going, was focusing, building our homestead. We were buying land, build a bug out location, and back in 2016, I did something I always wanted to do, and I became a law enforcement officer. And I've been doing that for the past 3 years. And I kind of got away from the whole part. I mean, we still had that mentality. We still raised our own food for the most part, but I mean, we weren't focusing on a lot of stuff like that.
Right.
You know, our pantry got down a little bit and stuff like that. And then when this broke out a couple weeks ago here in the United States, I looked at my wife and I was like, "Yeah, we fucked up." When I got into law enforcement. When I went to the academy and I was doing all that, at that point in time, we had our two miniature Dexters, we had our chickens, we had our ducks, we had our turkeys. And so I'm in the academy. It's the middle of winter. My wife is out chipping a hole in the pond to get them all water. She's stressed out because she's trying to deal with a restaurant. And I was like, I just called my brother one weekend. I was like, kill them all, kill them, get done with it. I can't have my wife going through this. So they went out one weekend and slaughtered everything and put them in the freezer. And we've been basically living off that for the past 3 years.
Wow.
We actually, my wife and I, this past summer, were talking about getting 2 more cows. But with the law enforcement, I don't have too much free time. And we kind of push that off. And now we're looking at like, this summer we're going back full bore. I don't care what time wise. I don't care what goes on. So if anything, it's focused me back on what we've been trying to do for the past 20 years. Because like I said, we've lost focus the past 3 years. And it's not only me. It's quite a few people that I know that I'm friends with and I interact with daily. That this was totally off the radar.
Boy, was it. Yeah. Holy shit, man. 3 months ago, or even 2 months ago, I never in a million years would have thought that the entire country would be shut down by the flu. I mean, obviously there's more to it than that, but that's the basis of it, really.
Well, here's the thing, and I don't. I wouldn't say it was totally off the radar. I think it was like the least of the worries, but the real situation is, I mean, we have, and that's the thing is, people look at preppers and they look at, homesteaders and like, oh, you're a homesteader, you're one of those doomsday preppers or whatever. And, if you just look at history, you look at the Spanish flu, 1918, there's a history of pandemics. We were way past being on a pandemic. If you look at the stock market crash, is not as bad as back in the 20s, but every 10 years that stock market goes down. We had 2008, you had Black Thursday, Black Friday, whatever, back in the 80s when I was in high school. Every 10, 15 years, there is a significant stock market crash for the past 40, at least in my lifetime. People can look at, something as simple as, Yellowstone. Yellowstone, we know that geologically it erupts every, I think it's 600,000 years, and it's been 750,000 years since the last time it erupted. Now, is it going to happen in our lifetime? Probably not. I would say It's not going to, but it is going to erupt at some point in time. And if Yellowstone erupts, we're all fucked. I mean, so there are things that, I mean, we are going to get struck by a major meteor at some point in time, or a comet or something like that. I mean, these are all historical things that we can track. And so, you know what? If you put some rice or beans to the side each month just to protect your family, you know, God bless you. Good for you. Because even if, and that's the thing is, you know, you look at, like I said, like our grandparents, you know, went through depression. I mean, these people were savers. You know, they not only had the skill sets, but they also learned in that depression. These are the people, you know, you can call them hoarders, whatever you want, but they didn't throw away anything. We are a society of users and disposers. You know, your TV breaks, what do? You throw it out, you go buy a goddamn new one. You know, there are no TV repairmen anymore, and which is a whole nother issue. But I mean, there is nothing quality anymore. We are a disposable society. Yeah, you can't buy a washer and dryer and own it for your whole lifetime. And, you know, we have a shelf life on everything.
But it didn't used to be like that.
You know, our grandparents, they would, you know, they could get by in very, very little. We can't anymore. And so I guess you don't need to go out and buy 100 acres and fucking plant, you know, corn, beans, or whatever. If you can minimize as far as what your financial and what your physical needs are each month, even if you're living in an apartment or a condo in New York City, I think you'll be far ahead as far as when something like this happens. And that's not saying end of the world. Just saying, and that's the thing is, it's just life tragedies. You know, if my wife died, or if I died, I mean, that would be a significant life incident to me or her, you know. So if I have this stuff set aside where my wife doesn't have to worry about going out and buying groceries, or she doesn't know how that light bill is getting paid, whether it be some money set aside or, you know, gold, silver, or whatever, you know, whatever that may be, you know, if I can protect the loved ones that I have from just me passing, then it was all worth it. It doesn't have to be end of the world. I don't need the fucking zombies walking the earth, you know, just to protect my loved ones from those day-to-day tragedies that happen to us.
Oh, yeah, I can totally understand that. Like, I have life insurance on me. I don't have life insurance on her. I'm not worried about her dying financially. I'm worried about if I die, her finances. So, I understand your point on that completely. And as far as saving stuff, I try to do the best I can. I've got like a little tote down in my basement filled full of emergency food just in case. It's not much. It's like probably about a month's worth of emergency food, like instant mashed potatoes and bullshit like that. But just in case the shit really hits the fan, I can grab that tote, throw it in the back of my car, and, you know, at least know I'm not going to be starving for a couple weeks. But that's obviously that's not much, but that's about all I can do in my situation right now. But it's something I can build on. When the shit started hitting the fan here a couple weeks ago, my wife panicked. Like, we now have like bottles upon bottles of water, like 2 liters and gallons of water down in the basement that she filled up because she was afraid like something might happen with the water system. And I told her that's kind of silly, but it can't hurt. I mean, yeah, the water's fine in the bottle for about 6 months from what I read. So if she really wants to keep it down there, more power to her. I guess it's a case of being prepared for something that might not happen instead of not being prepared for something that might happen.
Yeah, no, and there's different other things that that you can look at. Is it's you have the big Berkey water filters. You had the life straws.
I bought one of those. Yeah, I bought one of those life straws and threw it. I bought a life straw and threw it in the tote just in case too.
But the most simplest thing is a simple slow sand filter. You can build a slow sand filter out of a couple buckets with some sand, charcoal, and filter, and then boil it, and you'll be good to go. So there's different. And actually, you bring up a great point. Look at something as simple as Flint, Michigan. The water issues they had there. That we depend ourselves, day-to-day lives as far as with those basic necessities as far as water to live, and it was making people sick and killing them. So
it wasn't. It wasn't even something like someone decided that was the best thing to do. It was just a simple fucking mistake, and mistakes happen every day. So it's like you said, that's something that, it's best if you can take care of it yourself, because relying on other people for basic necessities, shit happens.
Yeah.
Yep. Ryan, by the way, did you guys know that you and Kyle are Claw brothers?
The hell is a Claw brother? Are you trying to besmirch the White Claw name, Jack?
No, I'm trying to I'm trying to say shit about your fucking shitty microphone first. But no, apparently Kyle's a White Claw fan as well.
Well, goddamn.
Okay, no, I thought you guys might have more to talk about that. Okay, Ryan, why don't you dump out and come back in? Because really, seriously, your microphone sucks, and you're such a big part of the show. We don't want to lose your opinions and on the topics and such. And we lost Kyle, so he might have had a issue, or he might have been bored with us. So if he comes back, we'll talk some more about that. But in the meantime, Ryan, what'd you think? Did he say anything that you disagree with? I thought it was pretty interesting stuff. Okay, yeah, he's offline too. That was dumb of me. I told him to go offline, and I started asking him questions. So it's just me now. So if he doesn't come back, I'd like to thank Kyle. That was some pretty interesting stuff. Like I said, I did have some more questions for him, but I'm sure if he comes back, I'll forget them completely. And you guys also, if you have any questions for him, if he comes back, feel free to type them in the chat box or give us a call, and we'll talk it out with him. Now, unfortunately, since he said he was going to be on the show, I don't have any topics at all, and since I don't have Ryan to talk to, I'm really just running my mouth with nothing to say. So let's go over to the OG and see what's over in the different threads. That's always a good way to find stuff to talk about on the show, isn't it? All right, let's click on where it says OtherGround. And we will see what we have here. Best watches between $200 and $300. You guys watch, people? I have one watch, which I'm a big fan of, but it wasn't really super expensive or anything like that. And it's cool as jewelry and stuff, but I can't see spending a bunch of money on really expensive watches, or even having a whole bunch of them. I guess if you're a really stylish person, you might want to have a couple to match different outfits, like maybe a black watch if you're wearing a suit or something silver or whatever. But I just can't see having like 10 or 15 different watches like some people have. My father-in-law actually collects watches. He's got a whole bunch of them. None of them are super expensive, but he's probably got 40 or 50 watches. But never been my thing. Like I do like my watch. I have a Fossil hybrid. It's a hybrid smartwatch. It doesn't have
Don't lie. You have a Hello Kitty watch. We all know it. Watch.
That would be awesome, wouldn't it? I actually have two watches. One is a Fossil hybrid. It's a hybrid smartwatch, which means it does not have a screen on it. It has a traditional faceplate. It looks like a normal watch, but it still hooks via Bluetooth to your phone and does stuff like vibrate to give you notifications. Like if I get a phone call, it'll vibrate and both the hands will point toward the noon time setting. If like I get a message on Facebook, it'll vibrate and both the hands will point toward the 9 number. You could set it up for 12 different notifications if you want to, but I didn't get that complex with it. I like it because I don't like the way the digital watches look. And 2, this uses a regular watch battery and needs to be replaced every 6 to 12 months. So I don't have to worry about taking the fucker off and charging it every couple of days. So I'm a big fan of it. And my other one is a 1960 something or 50. It's a 50s or 60s Teamster watch. It was my grandpa's, and it was awarded to him, but supposedly by Jimmy Hoffa. I don't know if that's true or not, but it's around the right time frame. And Jimmy Hoffa, used to do that. It was a watch given to my grandpa for 20 years of service with the Teamsters. And it's a nice little watch. I like it quite a bit. I don't wear it hardly ever because it's I don't want to fuck it up. And it's one of the few things I have from my grandpa. Almost the only thing I can think of, really. How about you? You got any keepsakes or heirlooms from your family?
The fuck is a heirloom?
Heirloom? Heirloom?
Heirloom.
It's got an H in the front of it, so I think you can pronounce it.
Damn.
I think you can pronounce it either way.
No, you really can't. Like, you need to get a much better grasp of the English language.
I can grasp it really well. You got to remember, I have a really, really, really wide experience with the written word. The spoken word, not quite so much. So I can. There's tons of words I've read a bazillion times, but I'm not sure if I've actually heard spoken, like heirloom, possibly.
Holy shit!
But regardless, do you have any of those things?
No, I'm not really an heirloom type of person.
No, nothing that you got from your dad or anything like that that you hold near and dear.
No, so my biological dad died when I was like 2 weeks old, so I never even met that guy. And we all know the story of the stepdad, so obviously that wasn't really a thing either.
Yeah, I guess not.
And then I moved out like basically the day I turned 18, and like I haven't really spoken to my parents in probably 15 years.
Oh,
so no, there wasn't a lot of handing down of keepsakes.
Okay, well, I'm sorry I brought it up now.
No, it doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah, I don't have a ton of much, as most of the OG knows. When my parents passed away, because of the way the will was written, I didn't get anything from them. And when my dad passed away, my stepmom was still alive, so obviously I didn't inherit anything from that, except for a couple keepsakes she went through when she was cleaning out everything. That's how I got my grandpa's watch. She asked me if I wanted it, and a couple other small things. But the vast majority of it, is still with her because she's alive. She was significantly. My dad died fairly young from kidney cancer that moved to his pancreas. But he also married someone quite a bit younger than him too, like 18 years younger. So she is just now like in her like late 50s, mid to late 50s. So she's got a good long road ahead of her. And that's how it is with most families nowadays, with marriage and remarriage and things like that. Most people shouldn't expect to get an inheritance because that's not how it works. That's how it works with my stepdad. His dad remarried, then passed away, and so since the new wife was still alive, she got everything. And then when she died, everything went to her kids. So my dad never saw anything from his parents. And that's kind of how it worked with me, a little bit weirdly different. So the old tradition of people getting an inheritance from their parents to help them along, in a lot of cases, doesn't really exist anymore.
Yeah, I don't really know about that one. But so interesting thought with the whole like remarriage and younger and what have you. Mm-hmm. So my grandpa ended up divorcing his wife and ended up trading in for a newer model of about, I think 20 to 25 years. And so he got her pregnant when he was in his early 60s. He passed away at like mid 60s. So I have an uncle out there that is roughly 12, 13 years younger than me.
That's kind of how it worked with me and my half sister. She's like 17 years younger than me, or 16, because my dad had her when he was in his like late 40s. So I think when I turned 17, she was like 3. I think she's about 16 years younger.
Quit rambling. Sorry. Tanner's on. Sorry. Let's get to some more interesting people. Tanner, what's up?
Sorry. What's up, boss?
Oh, yeah. Let me tell you something right now, Passive J. I've been put into a predicament that I'd rather not be in right now, and that's talking to your goofy ass.
Oh, no. This is a way more aggressive Macho Man than we spoke to the other day.
Well, let me tell you something right now. You're always talking about snapping into a beefy, veiny, thick vein cock. And I tell you what, I like that, and I can respect that.
Oh, yeah, I do like the big veiny dick. Oh,
I'm not very good at that. I figured I'd try my hand at it.
No, that's good. We should have a rule that everyone has to try Macho Man when they call in.
Oh, my kids are now doing Macho Mans in the background. I don't know if you can hear them, but my kids are screaming Macho Man in the background.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's
I apologize for all that, but these kids have been locked up for 3 freaking weeks, and this is what I got. They're screaming. They're jumping off stuff. They're running into the road without looking both ways. If we were on a bus, they would stand like in front of that line that tells you not to fucking stand in front of it. That's what these kids would be doing right now, running with scissors. That's commonplace in this household nowadays. It's fucking anarchy.
Yeah, I can see him right now talking to the bus driver, even though he's pointing at the sign that says, "Don't talk to the bus driver."
Exactly. They're not wearing masks. They don't give a shit.
How many
we've hit like cabin fever level of this quarantine thing.
Oh, my kids are nuts, man. So I have 3 kids. Believe it or not, I have a 19-year-old. who's basically an adult. I say basically because nowadays 19-year-olds are not adults. And then I have a 6-year-old daughter and a 4-year-old son who are absolute savages.
Oh, when I was 19, and that was like 20 something years ago, I was nowhere close to an adult. I was,
But you're still not. You buy fucking Wookiee costumes and ride a tricycle. Fuck.
Well, yeah, well, I'm young at heart. Come on.
Deep Throat Dalton, be nice to him. He was running on flattened arches in the army when he was 19, sir, and getting kicked out.
Yeah, that is true. Although, I still think that they fell. I don't know if that's a thing or not, but it's either they fell or that doctor was supremely incompetent. Maybe a little bit both. I don't know.
I'm surprised they let you in the first place. Like one look at your musculature, and I've been like, yeah, that's not going to be a good fit.
I scored really high on what I can't remember what their test is called, but I scored really high on that. They gave me an exclusion for my being blind one eye. They normally don't let you in for that, But
no, that recruiter just really needed the numbers that month.
I think it's fucked up that you actually referred to him as having musculature.
Because I don't really.
I think that's a misnomer, sir.
There's at least 1 or 2 tendons in there somewhere.
Well, I'm working on it. Seriously speaking, it does bum me out that I'm so out of shape compared to what I was, which wasn't great, but better than it was now.
We're counting tendons and ligaments as musculature now, huh?
Yeah, hey, I got to move around somehow.
System,
I'm not just
right?
Yeah, I don't just flop over.
I guess so.
I mean, I realize I look like one of those living skeleton things they used in the 70s. You guys remember the videos of that? They used it in schools in the 70s.
I do, but Jay, I remember you posted a picture the other day where you're like, "See, I used to have traps."
Right.
And I still didn't see them. So I was very confused by that picture.
Well, that is a comparative thing. That's unfortunately that picture is probably the best I've ever looked in my life, sadly speaking. And because it wasn't too terribly long before I got sick, and I've been in an arc of getting in better shape over 4 or 5 or 6 years, ending with me, getting really sick and losing like 30 or 40 pounds and having to start over. So that picture was like the last one before I got sick. So that's the best I'm probably ever going to look in my life.
Well, I followed your escapades on the Iron Bros thread or whatever it was called, the Pumping Iron thread.
Yeah.
And you were posting your stuff, and I remember you were getting how can I say this?
Relatively larger.
You were getting, I guess relatively larger would be a good term to put it. And that's where that's the first time that I ran into RDOT on or Ryan, whatever, Deep Throat Dog, whatever we're calling him these days. I remember him posting on that thread as well. So that's the first time I ever came into contact with him.
Yeah, yep. Had a lot of
it was
on there.
Yeah, I learned quite a bit from it. Kyle, do you work out any? Welcome back, sir, by the way.
No, sorry, I had an issue with my phone. Yeah, I do.
All right. Yeah, you big into lifting weights and stuff, or are you more like cardio-based stuff, which kind of makes sense considering your lifestyle?
I'm a big fan of, and I'm going to get shit for this, I'm a big fan of Tony Horton and P90X.
Oh, my. That's some intense stuff from what I understand. I haven't looked into it too much, though.
No, I like watching a video and lifting weights. I actually switched over to Body Beast about 2 months ago, and I really like that. Actually, probably more than Tony Horton, but that's what I've been doing for years. Just body weights, lifting weights, cardio.
Well, at least if nothing else, right? So like that entire lifestyle of getting out and doing things in your life, you're going to be functionally strong anyway. Like that whole idea of like country strong, like that's a thing.
Yes. Yeah. There's a thing, old man strength is real and farmer strength is real as well. So, I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
My stepdad, as I mentioned, did sewer construction, and since he didn't want to have to worry about drug tests or things like that, he never moved up to the operator level like he should have over the years. So he stayed shoveling for 30 something years, shoveling holes for 8 to 10 to 12 hours a day. He was maybe 5'9", 170, 180. He was hideously strong, dude. You did not want that man to get a hold of you, and he could work fucking all day long shoveling. Like you said, that manual labor strength is just something real.
You can't work all day shoveling though, can you, Jay?
No, I don't think so. He actually helped me out at the house once. We had to dig out the side of the house because we were getting a leak in the basement. So we dug like maybe a 2 foot wide by 24 foot long by 7 or 8 foot deep trench to expose the basement wall. We put some sticky stuff over it, like tar, and then put some Bisquick or whatever it was called over that to seal it up. And I tried my best, and that man fucking outworked me like he wasn't even trying, man. And at that point, he was 67, and he whooped my ass that day. It was embarrassing. It really was.
Holy Christ! How you just glossed over. Holy Christ! How you just glossed over the whole shoveling thing and went right back into that fucking story.
I am totally biting my tongue right now because I'm being, Yeah.
This is not the podcast to bite your tongue. Let it out.
Yeah, go ahead, sir. You're not going to hurt my feelings. I've been on the OG long enough. Come on. If I was going to get my feelings hurt, I'd be out of there a long time ago.
Well, I mean, honestly, no one's surprised that a 67-year-old's out working you. First of all.
Fair enough. But it's what he did for 30 years. I'd be, surprised if he couldn't outwork pretty much any of us in that specific task anyways, he shoveled. That's what he did. He was a human excavator. And thank God
I like my chances against a 67-year-old. I don't know about the rest of the folks here.
In that specific thing, just shoveling. So, and I realize
how difficult it is to shovel. Not very fucking hard.
Oh, man.
Like there isn't a special technique to shoveling that you get over 30 years. Like that's not a thing. It's you take a shovel and you move what you're shoveling.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, I mean specifically that I'm not saying it's a skill. I'm saying it's like he could outwork you doing it because he's built up his muscles doing that specific task. So he's not lifting like 300 pounds over his head like you are. He's shoveling all day. But regardless, I don't know why I'm defending my dead stepdad. So let's. And which, by the way,
he's trying to say is it takes intestinal fortitude.
And I should have that because my grandpa did the same job. That's actually how my mom and my stepdad met. My grandpa also installed new sewer pipe, so he did the same thing. I don't know why he never moved up into the operative thing. As far as I know, he didn't do drugs. But that's how my mom and my stepdad met through my grandpa and my stepdad both having the same job.
And he can still shovel you.
Yep. Yeah. Well, my dead grandpa probably, yes. If he came back to life, I imagine he'd probably be quite feisty.
Oh shit! This is KVR. You're back on. I didn't know this was you. I just looked at the chat. So when I remember you getting you starting a thread when you went to the police academy. I had already been on for several years. What year did you go to the police academy?
2017.
Yeah, I was 17. So I went in 2009, and I recall that that thread that you started. Are you working full time? Because didn't you start off part time or no?
No. So I'm currently full time. So I didn't. All right. So let's back up a little bit. So I didn't start that thread, but someone else was looking for advice as far as for getting into law enforcement. And I commented like on the second page or whatever that I was actually thinking about as well, and then it just kind of progressed from there. But so I had always thought about getting into it. When my wife and I used to live down in PA, that's where we're originally from, and then we met. I looked into law enforcement down there, but they required a 4 degree, which I didn't have. When we moved up to Maine back in '97. I looked into law enforcement up here, saw that they didn't require a degree, but the pay was so low that I couldn't do it. But up here in Maine, I mean, it's different. Like, so I was born in PA, grew up in New York. So like New York, I mean, with the civil, I think you can't get hired after 35 just due to the retirement. Up here in Maine, there is no age limit. I mean, literally, you can get hired at 70 if you could make it through the whole process. So when we moved up here, I looked into it and saw that there was no age limit. So I kind of kept that in the back of my head, and I continued as far as progressing with my corporate career. Then we started our own business and did that, and that got to the point where it was running itself. So I had a lot of free time where I was working on the homestead, building shit, raising animals. And someone convinced me into running for the local select board. So I got on the town select board, and we were going over the budget for 2015. You all right?
Yeah, you there?
Oh, yeah, you there? All right. So
I'm actually masturbating to your smooth voice.
Oh, well, hey, baby, what are you doing over there? No, so the police chief came in and went over as far as what his needs were, said he wanted to hire like 3 more part-time. We needed 1 more full-time, but he couldn't find anyone. And I was like, why is that? He's like, well, I can't find anyone that wants to do it with today's perception of law enforcement. No one can pass the background, the drug test, or the polygraph. And I was like, well, I'll do it. And everyone had a laugh. And the next day he called me. He's like, were you serious? I was like, well, yeah, kind of, sort of. He's like, well, come talk to me. So I went down and talked to him. And he laid out as far as what was required to be a part-time officer. And I was like, well, I'll go home and talk to my wife. And I did. And she's like, you've been talking about it for the past 20 years. If you want to do it, do it. I was like, well, I kind of do, but I don't want to be a part-time officer here. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but, I've always wanted to do this. So if I want to do it, I'm going to go all in like I do with everything. I'm going to do this. And she's like, all right, we'll do it. So I did. But nice. I think at that time I was like 300 pounds.
I remember you trying to get in
30 years.
Yeah, I remember you trying to get in shape for it, or maybe there was a New Year's thread where you had like a New Year's resolution or something, or maybe I'm just making that shit up. But I thought I saw you on one of those threads.
Yeah, no, you did. Actually, I made a thread on P90X3 because that's what I really used. I did keto and P90X3, and I started on. So the meeting was in the end of May. I started on June 5th, and I went strict keto for the first couple months. So I started actually. By that time, I had already been working on it. By the time I actually got on the scale, I think I was like at 289 on June 5th. By August 30th, I was down to 235, and I started doing P90X3, and then by October 30th, I was down to 201.
Damn.
So, and then I applied. Yeah.
Nice.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Wow.
So CJ, that's called work ethic.
Hey, Dalton, maybe you should go on that program. I saw your picture.
Why in the fuck would I want to lose a bunch of weight? Like I enjoy having traps.
And big fat wet lips that you like to purse up. I love it.
Goddamn right.
Well, shit. Well, normally we'd be wrapping it up around right now, but we have 2 great guests on. So if you guys want to stick around and talk about stuff, I'm not going to pull the plug until you guys are ready to go.
Yeah, if anybody's got any questions, I mean, I didn't really have much to talk about, but I saw a lull in the action, so I jumped in.
Right on. Does anyone got any questions for Kyle? I mean, he's obviously got a wealth of information. Chat box like, no, we're good. Yeah.
Fucking crickets, right?
Right,
I think chat did. And actually, I think this actually applies to both of you. Obviously not Jay. But Sly wanted to know, like both in kind of your areas, obviously you're both in New England, but you wanted to know how folks treat you while you're in uniform.
I'll go first. So I work in a very small community, and the department that I work for is very big on community policing. So I'm out talking to people all day long. I'm not sitting in a car. I'm not running radar. I mean, I do every once in a while, but we're big on making contacts. And I have a theory, and I'm sure it's not specific to me. I didn't make this theory up, but if I can touch as many people a day, and I mean that figuratively, not literally, if I can touch as many people a day, meaning, hey, how you doing today? You know, if I see somebody with a fucking Chicago Cubs hat on or a New York Yankees hat, like, hey, did you see that game last night? Just shooting the shit and talking shit. If I can have 5, 10, 15, 35, 185 contacts with you that are like that, you know me as a guy that's just an everyday guy rather than the guy that's confronting you on a negative behavior. If the first contact I have with you is I'm confronting you for something negative, well, then you have all the ammunition in the world to call me a fucking racist cop, a fucking asshole, some fucking pig. But if you know me as the guy that talked to you maybe 5 times before that negative contact that we had with one another, then I'm already ahead of the curve. I'm fucking winning that match. I'm winning that game.
That's really interesting you say that, because that's exactly how I run my customer service for very similar reasons. I always try to do the very best that I can do and make it obvious that I'm trying to do the very best for this person that I can do. And because of that, when I screw up, and everyone screws up, if I fuck something up, my members, it's not a big deal to my members because they know that 99% of the time I'm there for them, trying to do what I can for them, you know, and mistakes happen. So it's interesting that you use a kind of a similar technique for dealing with the public.
This is a little different though, Jay. Like, you work in a country club and you're just trying to save face because you work for the Jewish mob.
No, I mean,
aren't nice. They're going to have old Willie One Nut come through and kneecap you.
Right. I meant it's the same as in that I try to give them a positive experience with me as many times as I can. That way, if there is a negative experience, it's not their entirety of what they think of me.
Exactly. That's my philosophy. Like I said, that's not something that I invented, but it just seems to fucking make sense. And I utilize that from my correctional days when I was dealing with inmates all day long. It's let me have as many positive contacts as I can have with you, because when something negative does pop off, that's not, like you said, the entirety of our relationship is not that negativity. But I do realize not everybody in every department can do what I do. You know, what I do is very specialized. It's very small. So I can afford to go out there and make those contacts. You know, I don't know if KVR can do that, because I wouldn't expect every cop to be able to do that, because you just can't.
Everybody talk at once. Kyle, did you have anything to say about that question?
I was just in awe of what he just said, and I was just like, it was awesome. So for me, I mean, I'm sorry, Tenor. What should I call you? Should I call you Tenor?
Yeah, Tenor's fine, man.
All right. So how old were you when you got in?
I was a little older. I was 33 and I'd already done 8 years in corrections. You know, I'm 44 now, so I've been on the job 11 years, but 19 total with the correctional time.
Okay. So I got on at 47 after being almost in the restaurant business for 30 years total with customer service. So been married for almost 25 years, have children, yada, yada, yada. So it was funny because when I went through the academy and stuff like that, you know, you get shit about being the old guy and stuff like that. And I'm like, listen, you know, so I told a couple of guys, and a couple of guys are getting more shit. I said, listen, how old are you? 22. How long have you been married? 3 years. Okay. So we both get called to the exact same domestic call. We go in, 50-year-old couple, been married 25 years. They're sick of each other's shit. They're going at it. Who do you think is going to react to that a little bit better? Me, who knows exactly what they're talking about because I'm 50. I've been married for 25 years. I know exactly what they're going through. Or you, who have no fucking clue what they're going through. And you're like, yeah, we got to do this. Boom. So, I mean, life experience, I have found, has been huge. You know, I'm very lucky that with my department, you know, I patrol in my town, in my area. So I already had a lot of interpersonal connections with pretty much everyone in the area, which I have found hugely beneficial. And I'm pretty much the same, my goal literally is not to take people to jail unless I'm forced to or I have to. I think every interaction is a learning moment for both sides. I get there's a lot of hate out there for law enforcement right now, and there has been for the past several years. People are like, oh, you got quotas, you got this, and, we don't have quotas. I have to have a certain number of contacts with the public each month. Whether or not I want to ticket someone, that's my discretion. I may stop 80 people in a month. How many tickets I usually get? I maybe give one, and that's because they're being a dick.
Exactly. I'm the same way.
I was sitting on this rural road in the middle of nowhere. We had some people call and complain because they have a small farm, they have a bunch of kids, and it's like 45 to that area, and literally people are going 70, 80 miles an hour past their house. So I was sitting there one day, and I mean, it was like shooting turkeys in a barrel. I was just like stopping a car every 5 minutes. It was like nonstop. And I'm just giving warnings, like, yeah, just slow it down. And I got to the very last stop of the day. It was a sovereign citizen.
Oh boy.
and I walked up, I was like, hey, Trooper KVR, you know why I stopped you? He's like, yeah, you're trying to get money from the state. I'm like, no, not really. And
talk about watches?
At the end of the conversation, actually, I was able to turn it around just by talking to him. And obviously, that's not going to happen every time. But I mean, people are like, "Oh, you're a cop." I'm like, "No, I'm in the." I look at what I do now in law enforcement. Same thing with restaurant business. I'm in the people business. Restaurant business. We do food on the side. Law enforcement, we do enforce laws on the side, but it's all about how you interact with people on a day-to-day basis. Those personal interactions, which is going to dictate as far as how your day goes, and that's just the way I look at it.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree with that.
Interesting. Excellent. Well, guys, looks like we are closing in on the end of the show. Did you guys have anything you want to cover before we get out of here? KVR, Kyle, I know you got a website. Did you want to promote that or anything like that?
No, dude, I've been so busy. I haven't even touched it in 3 years. I actually looked at it today for the first time, and appreciate it.
All right, no problem. How about you, Tanner? You got anything you want to cover before we get out of here?
Yeah, I'd like to promote my website. It's www.manlove.com. I got a special guest named Dalton this week. He's got some nice pics up on there. If you guys want to go there, give it a thumbs up or a shout out, I'd appreciate it. Share it on Facebook, Instagram, all the social medias.
Best
that was mattbattle.com.
I'd like to speak with you about a sponsorship later on, actually.
All right, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Happy Easter.
All right.
I appreciate you calling, man. You have a great day. And you too, Tanner. I always appreciate you having you on the show. You're always a good time.
All right, brothers. I appreciate it.
All right. You have a great one, man. All righty. Right. It was a great show today, guys. We had all kinds of interesting guests on there, which is always a good thing. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. We will be on tomorrow at 6:00. Yet again, you cannot get rid of us. We will be talking about all kinds of different things. We will have the OG chat army to keep us company. Ryan, you got anything?
For those that celebrate it, happy Easter to everyone. For everyone that doesn't, happy Sunday. We'll be back tomorrow if Passive J doesn't kill himself in an inflatable hot tub.
One can hope. All right. You guys have a great night. We'll see everyone tomorrow.